Hello again, it's Grace chatting, answering your questions. So I actually had a cluster of questions around, actually what it boiled down to were issues of how do I become more intimate with my husband or wife. That's what it boiled down to. And they weren't talking about sex because look, let's face it, most people can do sex, but it's more or less satisfying. And what makes it more or less satisfying is the emotional connection between people. And what a lot of couples are missing as time goes on, it's those couples who've been married for 10, 15 years. They've got their family and their family are growing up, they're moving on in their professions, but they have become aware of the lack of emotional intimacy. Now, some of that is just they've lost connection with each other because of the busyness of life, but they have never learned, as well as that, they've never learned how to become emotionally intimate with each other. So here's 4 steps which I would suggest that you check out. This chap here and his lovely book, which is called Emotional Intimacy, Robert Augustus Masters, in his lovely book called Emotional Intimacy, and he gives us 4 steps to developing emotional intimacy, and here they are. So in just a quick version of it is, firstly, identify what it is you're feeling. So in the course of our relationships, there are times when, and especially the people who are sending me questions, it's clearly they are feeling a degree of separation and frustration and distance with their partner and even disconnection. So when they get together and they're talking to their partner, what they need to do is firstly identify what is it that they're feeling. Now, a lot of people, and I see them in my practice, a lot of people don't actually know what they're feeling. They just know they don't feel good, they know they don't feel happy, they know they're unhappy. But other than that, if you ask them what are they feeling, they don't know, because many people have lost, indeed maybe never even had the knack of being able to identify their feelings. So you might want to ask yourself, well, what is it? Am I feeling sad, glad, mad? Am I feeling, and I've just made a little note of some here, am I feeling fear? Am I feeling anger? Do I feel hurt? Do I feel sadness? Do I feel bereft? Do I feel grief? Do I feel disgust? Do I feel jealous? I mean, there's a whole range of feelings that people can be feeling, but particularly a couple who, have had created a good life together and created a nice family together, and they're decent people, but there's something missing. Rather than they opt out of the marriage or go look somewhere else, what is useful to do is for them to look at, well, what is it I'm feeling? And sometimes they do feel bereft because they feel the loss of the connection that they used to have. So the first step is to actually identify what is it I'm feeling. Some of it might be frustration because they're not able to know what they're feeling, or they're not able to communicate clearly to their partner what it is that's going on for them. So the second step is to state what is it that you're feeling. So once you get clear on what is it I'm feeling, and actually it might be a whole number of feelings. You might be feeling hurt, angry, sad, frustrated, bereft, a whole number of those things. So what you do is you create the opportunity to meet with your partner, discuss with your partner, here's how I'm feeling these days. And I'm not talking about blaming your partner for it, because any feeling that you have is what comes up in you. Your partner probably has his or her own range of feelings, some of which may overlap yours, but may not necessarily be the same. But the feelings that get triggered in us when our life situation or circumstances are less than optimal. So you share what you're feeling. So there's something here. It's not just about how you build emotional intimacy is through being emotionally honest. And you can't be emotionally honest if you don't know how you feel and if you don't say how you feel. Not in a blaming way, but in a sharing way. So step number 3 is to actually share it with your partner. So identify it, say what it is, share it, not blaming, but just sharing. Here's where I am and here's what's going on for me. Hopefully your partner won't take it that you are blaming them, and that they won't get defensive about it, and they'll be able to hear you and maybe respond with their own. Yeah, well, do you know, I've been feeling some of that too. I feel a bit lost and I feel a bit lonely and I feel sad, and yeah, we don't seem to be connecting anymore. So, or you know, or what can we do to build on that? And so there's something about tuning into each other, which the busyness of life takes you away from each other. So it's learning how to tune in, and it is also about learning how to be present for each other. So there's a separate video on presence which you can check out, but cultivating presence, how to actually be there, see each other, hear each other, develop a heartfelt understanding of each other. And then when you're sharing your feelings, whatever they may be, understand that all the feelings that we get in the here and now, probably the majority of them are triggering some earlier times in our lives when we felt that. So for example, if you feel a bit abandoned now because your partner's always working, if you feel a bit lonely and abandoned, it's probably triggering off times in your childhood when you felt those feelings. For whatever reason, you know, maybe your parents were busy working and you felt lost and abandoned. But whatever the reasons, look, step number 4 is to give your feelings more context. So look at, well, what's my earliest recollection of feeling this way? And share that with your partner. I used to feel this way when I was like 9 and I was coming home from school. I was a latchkey kid. I used to come home and let myself in because my parents worked, and I'd be home and mum would come about 15 minutes later. You know, I'm not looking at blaming your mum either. I'm just saying, give some context to your feelings. So the 4 steps again are: identify what is it that you're feeling, say what it is clearly, share it with your partner, and give some context to why those feelings might be an issue. But the point of the matter is that in sharing with each other, without blaming each other or without getting defensive and feeling blamed, don't take that on board, but just that sharing helps you to understand each other and also to develop emotional literacy, emotional honesty, emotional intelligence, and emotional intimacy. So I hope that helps.